All right, welcome back to What She Says Sports, everybody. Okay, so I'm in a different studio. Let me switch my studio out right fast. All right, there's a lot to talk about today. There's a lot happening. Some people are saying the quiet part out loud, and I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm not mincing the words. I'm not saying the energy is weird. I'm saying it's racism, right? And I see people starting to get on the defensive, meaning they try to run interference on the fact that what you're seeing with Shedeur Sanders is racism. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me switch this out right fast. It looked new, so I don't know. I'm looking at something new. But let me switch this out right fast, guys. All right. So I'm back. All right, I got it right. Okay, so welcome, 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 everybody. All right, so we're talking about what happened yesterday. Breaking news with Shedeur Sanders. I saw earlier today, I think it was on USA Today, where I saw where Shedeur Sanders, his home, was burglarized, broken into while he was at his NFL debut. And I looked it up, and turns out, and I knew from being in Atlanta, y'all, this happens way more than y'all know. Shedeur's home was burglarized up there in Cleveland, and less than 4 hours away, I think last year, Joe Burrow's home was burglarized while he was playing the game. And I don't know how far Pat Mahomes lives from Joe Burrow's, but he was burglarized. So I knew that this happens in Atlanta. Now I learned today it's not specific to Atlanta. In Atlanta, it was really bad. They hit up, they were using the internet to scope out where people were. So if they saw you in the middle of a football game, if it was a home game or an away game, if it was an away game for sure, they knew chances are you could get robbed. And that's what they did to Atlanta Falcons players. So there were people that knew that Shedeur was away. Now, how they found his house, I don't know. But this is when I say sometimes we record just a little too much, right? I didn't see anything. I think I might have saw a glance of his license plate. I figured out he lives in a secluded area, but you can talk to people and ask. And it was already said that Shedeur lives about 30 minutes outside of the opposite direction from everybody else. So you can talk to people and figure things out because he got neighbors and people know and people talk and they post things. And a lot of these people, they just scour the internet for their next person. So less than 4 hours away last year was Burrow. This time they got Shedeur. And I sure hate it because yesterday was just a bad day. Like, ending the game with his head in his hand. Because it was a lot happening in that game. And different people have decided to do an analysis on some of the plays that were not baffling, but that led you to believe that the quiet part out loud is the Cleveland Browns O line took out their own quarterback. Now I know instantly what people gonna say. First of all, don't act like it has never happened. Because if you ask me, it happened to Lamar Jackson in the first half of this same game. And ever since it came out that white quarterbacks are becoming a minority, we're seeing more malfeasance. We're seeing more excessive sacks on black quarterbacks. We're seeing black quarterbacks be benched unjustly after their O line, perform like what happened with Shedeur yesterday. Understand this. There's a viral clip where you see a gaping hole between the offensive line to the right and two offensive linemen to the left. Now, understand, people immediately went in on that play. And somebody, I think Cassius 30 on IG broke it down and said, what you didn't see before that play is that Shedeur saw he was about to be blitzed. So he told his linemen what to do, and that's what they chose to do. Now, at the end of the game, after number 55 blew his coverage intentionally after blocking for Dylan all damn day, he blew his coverage against Shedeur's own lineman. And people don't want to say that because they don't want to admit that it is highly possible that his own O linemen were recruited by his own head coach to take him out. Why would that be the case? Because Shedeur was never supposed to be a QB1 in this league. They were forced to take him. It's already been widely discussed. And there's a lot of other things happening that if you listen to conversations, they're over there trying to not only intimidate the other players, but minimize Shedeur Sanders and try to subdue him to minimize his own self. They're bullying him. And Kevin Stefanski is the visible ringleader. You have to be a special kind of fool. You have to be a special kind of fool to pretend you're not racist while you're actually showing all of us that you are. Shedeur not getting first team reps was not intentional. I have video today because I remember watching every single day while they were in practice, while they were in camp, who was getting first team reps. Now, let me just put this conversation to rest. For those people that are saying that, well, when I played in 2006, I didn't get first team reps. That's your business. Because if you played in 2025 for the Jaguars and didn't get first team reps, that's your business. But one thing about it, Dillon Gabriel as QB3 behind Pickett and Flacco got first team reps. And Shedeur Sanders is QB2 in a real live game, regular season scenario. And he don't get first team reps just in case. Shout out to Shannon Sharpe, who called it out and said it. It is exactly what I have been saying. The treatment towards Shedeur is, but now we just going to add lack of first team reps onto malpractice. Organizational malpractice. In the tenets of organizational malpractice, support that Kevin Stefanski is expected as a head coach to create a supportive environment for Shedeur. He has not done that. Failure. He gets an F-. That Kevin Stefanski is supposed to help develop Shedeur. Failure. He has actually implemented negligence against this young man by putting him out here in the second half with no first team reps. People are saying, damn, you give Shedeur a week and he'd be out here balling. Facts. And if you give him a competent O-line that's not intentionally blowing their coverage, he going to look like Tom Brady when he in the pocket. Because that's what's being said today too. That when Shedeur is comfortable in the pocket. No, when Shedeur has protection. You know, a lot of this could actually be minimized. All this malfeasance against Shedeur Sanders, all this collusion and discrimination, if people would just call it what the hell it is. It's malfeasance, it's corruption, it's discrimination, it's racism. And we all know the milestone that Black starting quarterback celebrated this year was number 16, and that was not celebrated by the NFL. That was celebrated by fans. And it took the fans to leave that stadium sitting empty 30 minutes before kickoff with maybe 2 or 3 people in it to send a message. And then it took the fans to use their voices and justifiably so to boo when Dillon Gabriel got in, because that's the only recourse the fans have because they already bought their tickets. So if they would have sat there quiet, Dillon would have stayed in that game. Because as you can see, the game plan was for Lamar Jackson to be held back in the first half, 16-32, for Dillon to be protected. And shame on the Ravens defense. In the first half of that game, they had no smoke for Dillon. But when they came out in that second half, when it was Shedeur's turn, not only did the Ravens defense go hard in the paint against Shedeur, but no smoke. Prop Dillon up. Shame on the Cleveland Browns offense for setting up their own goddamn quarterback. Now, that's the new low. It's documented. It's disgusting. And I said last night, Shedeur going to look at this film. And he going to know who it is he can't trust. And I don't know if Kevin Stefanski think he's trying to send Shedeur a message because it's still the right side of the O-line from Cleveland. But Coach Prime need to start looking into the connection between Pat Schumer, who said Shedeur was like Daniel Jones, and take that more seriously because Pat Schumer was Kevin Stefanski's boss. And we all know what the anonymous sources said about Shedeur Sanders calling his own plays. And we all know that that came from the New York Giants where Pat Schumer used to work. Coach Prime need to take it more seriously. That it is possibly, quite possibly, that his son's career is being disrupted by people standing on the ground in Colorado, which explains why a lot of Pat Schumer's play calling look like Stefanski's. That would explain why Caden Salter was also sabotaged, because he's headed to the NFL and there's already 16 black starting quarterbacks, and we don't want no more. Shedeur Sanders, number 17. It's time for Coach Prime to take a real hard look at this situation and see it for what it is. That these people are setting up your son, and you cannot allow it to bleed out, because now they're setting up other people that look like your son using your program, which is going to disrupt your recruiting, which is going to let these kids see that they can't trust you to protect them. It's not a coincidence I've been saying week after week after week. Why the hell does Colorado look like Cleveland? That should have been enough. What was going on with Caden is exactly what was going on with Shedeur. And when Juju and Caden and Ryan Staub got into that game, Juju and Caden were not protected by the O-line, but they blocked for Staub. And that was happening right in Coach Prime's house at Colorado. And now here we are seeing it again. It's the regular season. They throw Shedeur into a game. We don't know if Dylan is injured or not. If he is, get well soon. But they say the fans were booing so loud that they took him out. And you're not going to tell Karma what to do, because Dylan was arrogant as hell and knew his part in this whole plot was to hold back Shedeur from QB1. And I don't see Dylan advocating for Shedeur, because he's in on it too. He knows he's not better than Shedeur, but he wanted to be arrogant. He wanted to mock. He wanted to say the same thing that Oregon's head coach, Dan Lanning, said about Colorado. Likes and clicks. He just repeated it. And that's why you don't talk in front of children. But the quiet part out loud is that the Cleveland Browns offense, in multiple occasions, after blocking for Dylan, took down their own quarterback. You can even look at the way the plays were executed. And I want you to understand, Shedeur was only sacked twice, and they were both on third downs. What do sacks on third downs do? We know this from Colorado. It disrupts the drive. So next, I'm going to kick it away. His own O-lineman, 55 and 57, and 77 and 55. 77 was protesting after the game because he was upset. This man was mid-play, was supposed to be chasing his defender or tackling his defender, because he should have never been chasing him. He should never been behind him. He was supposed to be stopping the defender from getting to Shedeur, and he throws his hands up in the air, and the man gets to Shedeur. That's disgusting. And after the game, he was over there protesting and throwing his helmet, and they were like, wow, what has an O-lineman so upset? Nobody ever knew why he was so upset. But here's the thing. This is the same play with all that Oscar performance he gave after the game. This is the same play that Shedeur saw him about to be blitzed, and they let the three of them to the right line up and let him through. Disgusting. So he could get sacked. He was only sacked twice, both times third down, by his own damn team. So I posted, it's time for the Cleveland Browns to be investigated for organizational malpractice, and it's picking up steam. And with Shannon Sharpe out there calling it malpractice, it's picking up steam. With all the smoke calling it weird energy, okay, let's just call it what it is. But thank you for lending your voice. That something's not right, and it should be looked into and investigated. You have to be a special kind of fool to be caught on camera over and over and over trying to let people know you are racist. We're going to have to put him down. And then he was sacked excessively in that Rams game. I told y'all when he said that, I think I hit Bucky up and say, hey, I think this dude might be Klan. You need to check on your brother. I sure did. I saw somebody else say, somebody said in my comments, the whole front office for the Cleveland Browns might actually be Klan, and that's why Stefanski will not be fired. And guess what we're seeing? People have said Haslam don't care about winning. And guess what we're seeing? So it's not weird energy. It's Klan-like energy. And that's disturbing. Because just like other people knew that there was a prank happening to Shedeur Sanders, to NFL players during the draft, the NFL itself gave out Shedeur Sanders, and that prank was executed by somebody on the inside through the New York Giants Association. Supposedly the boyfriend of the daughter of the GM, and they all attend Ole Miss or did, including the Mannings and Jackson Dart. So that was an inside job. How do we know today wasn't an inside job? Because they knew Burrow was robbed, who lives 4 hours away last year, because they knew the story was out there that Pat Mahomes, that happened to him, that they know it happened in Atlanta to some Falcons players. They said nothing was taken when I read it. But how do we know it wasn't an inside job? I have said it to y'all multiple times. Shedeur Sanders is not safe as long as Kevin Stefanski is the head coach. And if he allowed, or if he orchestrated for his own players, 77 and 55, and possibly whoever is over there on the end, to allow Shedeur Sanders to be sacked twice on third down. Not only should he fired, he should be fired. Stefanski, he should be charged with some criminality. And it's also pointed out, and I saw this with my own 2 eyes, that when they took that late timeout towards the end in the fourth quarter, just before the game ended, Stefanski didn't even interact with Shedeur. Why you don't interact with your quarterback? And he's so used to it, he didn't even worry about it. It's disgusting. He stands there in a defensive stance. What did that black player say about his coach not talking to him when we watched that clip with Johnny Manziel? And it points out that black people in the NFL and white people in the NFL have different perspectives. Johnny Manziel used to leave Cleveland to get away from all the losing, and he was a QB2. So he had his own way to cope with the losing. But the black guy said it. My coaches won't talk to me, and he not lying. Because Stefanski don't talk to Shedeur. He won't even say Shedeur's name. But they don't mind bullying Shedeur Sanders. We have reached criminality after Shedeur Sanders was allowed to be sacked by his own O-lineman twice. And these same O-linemen are shown protecting Dylan Gabriel, but not for Shedeur. Is it racism? What, you just like Dylan? You just met Dylan. We all know Dylan is not an NFL quarterback, so what's the agenda? Some people say the Browns just don't want to admit that they messed up by evaluating Shedeur as a QB2 to pay him $46 million, but deciding to pivot to Dylan. Now, how do you get from Shedeur Sanders in the first round to Dylan, an undrafted free agent? People say Kevin Stefanski is trying to do what? Save face. I think it's a little deeper than that. I think Kevin Stefanski's behavior is Klan-like. On his X page, if it's still there, go check right now and screenshot it. It says he's a servant leader of the Cleveland Browns. We're going to have to put him down. We have standards for the position. And guess what happened over at Colorado? The same bullshit. Pat Schumer, between Juju, Ponder, Staub, and Caden, with Caden being the starter. I like how he thinks. He thinks like a quarterback. He's cerebral. That's some racist dog whistle bullshit. And Pat Schumer need to be fired immediately by Colorado. And if not, Caden Salter's parents need to sue. Because this was his NFL year, and they tried to put a sophomore with no NFL ambition in front of a senior, where it was documented that he was already number 15 in the country. And Pat Schumer, with his Neanderthal play calling, taking this young man out the game when he didn't do anything wrong. Sabotage Caden Salter. And he still works at Colorado, just like Stefanski still works in Cleveland. That's disgusting. And now Juju has to play 2 games with him still on the property. If his contract is up, why is he still on the property? He's caused enough trouble. There's no point in being polite and allowing someone who has an issue with black starting quarterbacks get into the NFL when the NFL has 16 black starting quarterbacks, sabotaging their career, taking them out the game when they didn't do anything, but only talking positively about the white quarterback. You don't allow that to fester, because that's where you get Kevin Stefanski. So this is the clip right here. I had it yesterday. I went back and added Shedeur's name. and Dylan's name. Look at the formation. Look at the U-shaped formation, which is what you're supposed to see. Protection for the quarterback to give him time to throw the ball. This is over here in the second quarter with Dylan. Then I want you to go look at the Baltimore Ravens stats. I posted them yesterday and show how lackluster Baltimore, the Ravens, were against Dylan. The Ravens defense propped Dylan up, and he plays for the opposing team. What happened to the competitiveness? While that was happening, while the Ravens defense was protecting Dylan, the Ravens offense was allowing the Browns defense to tee off on Lamar Jackson. 16-32. We already got 16-32. Lamar Jackson is part of that 16. Then let's flip over to the other side of when Shedeur gets in. When Shedeur gets in, his own O-line, who had a perfect formation to block for Dylan, who's a check down QB. He don't even need all this. He don't need none of this to check down the ball or to hand it off to Quinshawn. And they switched up the running game when Shedeur got in. They raised the degree of difficulty for their own quarterback in Cleveland. Kevin Stefanski, Tommy Reese, and the O-lineman to the right. This is documented. Do you know how much of a fool you have to be to sabotage your own quarterback on camera? When your fans are already protesting and leave the stadium empty 30 minutes before the game, do you know what kind of fool you have to be to think you're going to get away with this? Hell no, you're not getting away with this. Not only should you be investigated for organization malpractice, sounds like it's time for you to get handed a civil rights violation lawsuit, which would be the fourth or the fifth for the NFL in less than 5 years. This formation for Dylan shows you that they would rather protect Dylan than Shedeur. But Stefanski has showed us that Dylan is his guy. So now there needs to be an investigation into criminality, into premeditated sabotage of own quarterback. Because how are you protecting Shedeur with a formation that you see over here in the third quarter? You have no intention. You are chasing the defender. And then up here with Dylan in the second quarter, where the arrow was pointing, that's number 55. He has so much smoke for the defense. He threw number 40 on the ground and didn't even get a flag. He threw him down, picked him up, and threw him down with disgust and didn't get a flag. So everybody in on it. 16 and 17 of 32. And that's Shedeur. There is no justifiable reason for the owners taking Shedeur off the board. They hid behind their racism because Shedeur was expected to be number 17, which makes the majority of the QB1s that milestone. Should have had 17 black quarterbacks on it, but they held Shedeur back, locked him out of the first round, so they say, and pushed him all the way down to 5th. And here's the thing, and I said it before, and Eric Dickerson confirms it. They weren't going to draft him at all. Facts. So after they were forced into drafting him, and y'all know by who. And when you understand that that's exactly who their allegiance is to, they had to expend 2 picks. They had to expend 2 picks in the same round that they drafted Shedeur in to get Shedeur. And guess what? They have already recouped those 2 picks by trading away Pickett and by trading away Flacco. So how premeditated was Shedeur being drafted by Cleveland? I know people are like, the Ravens called, but they knew he wasn't going to the Ravens. I know that people said he was going to Philly. They knew he wasn't going to Philly. What did Kevin Stefanski say? I told you the Lord works in mysterious ways. I wonder what that conversation was about. This is why Shedeur felt they could trust those people, because they lured him in to the damn woods and then they slaughtered him when he got to Cleveland. I told you the Lord works in mysterious ways. You don't just say that for nothing. You say that when things aren't working out as they were planned, but you want the person to hold on. So that's why he didn't go to the other teams, because he had hope because they gave it to him. The same Kevin Stefanski that refuses to talk to him on the sideline, that refuses to say his name, that has let everybody know by dehumanizing Shedeur Sanders multiple times on video, multiple times in press conferences, not being able to say his name, that behind the scenes he's bullying Shedeur, he's intimidating other players to stay away from Shedeur, and he needs to be investigated to see if he enlisted, offered, promised, paid the O-lineman to allow their own quarterback to be set up to fail. Herm Edwards came out and said Shedeur was set up to fail. Former NFL players are talking about how gross it is. What's happening to Shedeur? This is a modern day lynching of this young man. And they can't say he's not a good quarterback because they evaluated him at a 2. Just because you change your mind because you say you had Deshaun, which you're going to have Deshaun next year. Let me see you get a quarterback. And let him not be black. And we're going to talk. You said you didn't get Shedeur. You changed your mind because you remembered you had Deshaun. You had Deshaun from 2022. So it looks like you just scapegoat a black quarterback. So you could reel Shedeur in, make everybody, the other teams, think that he was going there so they wouldn't be interested in him. That's a common tactic in the NFL. Just like it's common to let sources run around and defame, devalue certain players. Certain equals black. Certain equals black. It's the well-known fact in the NFL, if one team moves away, they all collude. So they all colluded. There's nowhere to run from this. Nowhere to hide. And now Cleveland is colluding, and on camera, during the first game that Shedeur gets in, after his coach denied him intentionally. And we get ready to watch a video, and I'm going to show you how intentional it was for Shedeur to not have had first team reps yet. Kevin Stefanski has moved beyond what people say he doesn't like Shedeur, to setting Shedeur up to fail, to possible criminality, with Kevin Stefanski possibly enlisting number 77, number 55, and somebody else on that right side to allow Shedeur Sanders to be sacked twice in the game to upend the drive on third down. For alienating Shedeur in public, not even talking to him. Intimidating other players so they won't gravitate towards Shedeur. Bullying Shedeur so he'll stop being himself. Having the reporters to ask about Shedeur's celebrity. Is he a good teammate? I don't hear nobody asking about Dylan being a good teammate because nobody cares. But the fans made their voices known, and you're not going to tell Karma what to do. So shout out to the Browns fans for letting that stadium sit empty, near empty for the most part. I didn't even see but maybe a few people 30 minutes before kickoff, just sitting there empty. That's why they took Dylan out when they started booing. Their fans have leverage, and they better keep using it. But the people that they keep calling Shedeur Sanders fans, it's about 6 million of us at minimum. And we have leverage too. And we might not be in Cleveland, but we can turn that damn TV off. And if we so inclined, we can get together and put together a class action lawsuit. And 1 million people suing the NFL is a lot of public, a lot of press. It's a lot. There might be 32 NFL owners, but the fans are the last say so for accountability. You see what happened in Cleveland. We don't know whether Dylan is injured or not, but if he's not, Stefanski and the Browns ought to be fined for lying because he was quick to come out and say Dylan coming right back. How do you know that so fast? Somebody sent me over protocol for concussion. It's supposed to be graduated. You don't even know that. It is based on the person itself. And you see how they were willing to abuse Jackson Dart with concussions and throw him back in there to keep a black quarterback off the field. So that's exactly what Stefanski is doing. Using Dylan to keep Shedeur off the field because he's a black quarterback. And understand this, there was ample opportunity for fairness. Ample opportunity for fairness. Take a listen to this video. This is July.
Mary Kay, and I know yesterday Shedeur and Dylan got their first chances to go up against the first team defense. Flacco with the ones winning against the second team defense. Was that more of Kevin Stefanski just shuffling things up in a way that he anticipated doing all week, or was that a result of Dillon and Shedeur looking good in practice and earning some of those reps against the first team defense?
Well, first of all, Dillon has already had opportunities with and against the first team offense. So it wasn't his first opportunity to do that. The new thing that happened yesterday was that Shedeur got a chance to go against the first team defense a little bit. And he.
All right. So you heard what she said. This is July 31st. Listen to her enthusiasm. Listen to what she's saying. Pay attention to what Shedeur was rewarded with. And then focus on what happened yesterday and what you haven't heard about that's confirmed from the head coach today. Take a listen.
Quarterback situation, Mary Kay. And I know yesterday Shedeur and Dillon got their first chances to go up against the first team defense. Flacco with the ones winning against the second team defense. Was that more of Kevin Stefanski just shuffling things up in a way that he anticipated doing all week, or was that a result of Dillon and Shedeur looking good in practice and earning some of those reps against the first team defense?
Well, first of all, Dillon has already had opportunities with and against the first team offense. So it wasn't his first opportunity to do that. The new.
And she made sure we know that. Well, Dillon has already had first team reps with the offense and defense. This wasn't his first opportunity. You hear how enthusiastic she is that Dillon was set apart from Shedeur? Shedeur was excluded for first team reps. Dillon was QB3 at the time because after this, they asked about picking hamstring. There was no reason for QB3 to get first team reps other than to humiliate the franchise QB that you were going to pay $46 million for, that you evaluated at the number 2 pick. And you know what's even more disgusting, and we're going to talk about it on a separate show? The Browns could have had Travis and Shedeur, and actually was supposed to be considering it. Everybody says Travis would have caught that pass. I'm not mad at Gage. He's a rookie. Falling back and catching his stuff was more important than holding on to that ball, but he gonna learn. Shedeur done had receivers to drop balls before, but it shows you how elite Colorado's wide receiver core is. It shows you how elite Shedeur is. These people are lying when they say he's not that good. And Andrew Berry said his skill sets were outdated. That looks like a lie in the Panthers game, and it looked like a lie even with his own O-lineman allowing him to be sacked by blowing their coverages. Don't forget about that. We're going to listen to this again because I want you to see with the enthusiasm she has that Dillon has already had his opportunity. So understand the time period, July 31st, right? Before they even get to any preseason games, Pickett is on with a hamstring injury. We have Flacco, who's on the roster, who was forced to share a locker with Jerry Jeudy. That says a lot as well. That means that they know and they understand chemistry is necessary if you want the quarterback to be successful with the wide receiver. So you've already implemented chemistry in Flacco and Jeudy. That's the first thing you did when the veterans arrived. But you robbed Shedeur of an opportunity to have chemistry with the first team. But they celebrated. Dillon already had it with the first team defense and offense. When it was proven with their little trackers that Shedeur won the competition with accuracy after Dillon had 160 reps and failed that competition. There were plenty of times to make this right. That's why whatever happens to the Browns, to Haslam, to Stefanski, to them old linemen, Dillon, no mercy. Plenty of time to make this right. All they wanted to do was humiliate them, humiliate Shedeur, draw him in like they was at a Klan rally. Yep, that's all it is, because they think they can.
Asking about the quarterback situation, Mary Kay, and I know yesterday Shedeur and Dillon got their first chances to go up against the first team defense. Flacco with the ones winning against the second team defense. Was that more of Kevin Stefanski just shuffling things up in a way that he anticipated doing all week, or was that a result of Dillon and Shedeur looking good in practice and earning some of those reps against the first team defense?
Well, first of all, Dylan has already had opportunities with and against the first team offense. So it wasn't his first opportunity to do that. The new thing that happened yesterday was that Shedeur got a chance to go against the first team defense a little bit. And he did so working with the second team offense. So it was, just a little nugget about Shedeur yesterday. And I think it's a good sign. I think he got rewarded for working really, really hard and doing a really nice job on everything. And
he got rewarded with first team defense. He's never been rewarded with first team offense. He did a really good job on July 31st. But he's never done a really good job, even after we saw him ball out versus the Panthers with no first team reps. But we saw Stefanski set him up with the goon squad that they released. So what are you going to do now with 77 and 55 and everybody else that's caught on camera allowing Shedeur to be sacked, their own quarterback? What is he going to do? The first thing they did was have 77 to go out and say, yeah, I've only heard his cadence once, twice, or three times. So they want to kind of make it a mistake. You know how it's not a mistake? Because that wasn't the first time. When they parted ways like the Red Sea and let the blitz get to Shedeur, that wasn't the last time they let the quarterback get to Shedeur. 55 blew his coverage, 77 blew his coverage at two different times while Shedeur was quarterback, but they are documented protecting Dylan. They need to be fired immediately. And Kevin Stefanski needs to be investigated to see if he orchestrated a hit on his own quarterback. And do not ignore the fact that Shedeur's home was broken into. And if nothing was taken, was it a message by someone trying to run Shedeur out of Cleveland, starting with Kevin Stefanski, because he can't get his way, because now he has to say nice things about Shedeur. They came all this way from the month of May with Kevin Stefanski ignoring Shedeur, and now he changes his tune. And then Shedeur's home gets broken into, but nothing is taken. Are you sending him a message? The KKK was very, very, very popular for knowing to antagonize Black people to run them off. All I have seen is Klan tactics in Cleveland. From the owner employing 2 Black Harvard grads and treating both of them like go fetch, which is to say, you ain't nothing, boy. You just my hired hand. Toting not Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry around to Ohio State, knowing he got Dylan and Shedeur over there to try to rub it in Shedeur's face. We're not going to let you be our quarterback. We're going to get our white quarterback. Then you do that then. But here's what you're not going to do. You're not going to get away with this. You're not going to get away with this Klan level discrimination designed to hurt this young man in front of millions of people again. First it was a draft. Now it's Cleveland. It's disgusting. There should be a congressional investigation into the Cleveland Browns. And let me tell you why. Because the NFL commissioner won't do anything. The NFL Players Association won't hold the Browns accountable. The commissioner won't hold Haslam accountable. Haslam won't hold Stefanski accountable. And the players on the team seemingly have been intimidated. And a few of them who are white seemingly have been enlisted to orchestrate the sabotage of their own quarterback, which means the fans should be upset because when they purchased those tickets to see a competitive sporting event and not a Klan rally. It's not weird energy. It's racism. And it's deep fried racism that people from the South understand exactly what the hell is going on. So now his home gets broken into. Are they trying to make him scared, intimidate him so he can quit, so he can leave, so he can move, so he doesn't feel safe, so he can't start against the Raiders? How far would they go to hurt this young man? Because you allowed him to be sacked twice. You didn't want to just disrupt the game. You wanted him to know that you're not protecting for him. Intimidation. How far would they go? Would they puncture his lung like Tyrod Taylor's doing a routine pain injection? Will they break into his house and harm him? Will they flatten his tires so he could have an accident? Will they hurt someone in his family? Will they blame him for being a distraction when he's not the distraction? Will they continue bullying him until, like Jonathan Martin, he quits the NFL? How far will they go? Because we know the plan goes far. Hangings, rape, burning down houses, killings. How far will they go? Because it's some deep fried racism right here. And you'd be a fool to not admit it. And it needs to be looked into. Because when you start looking, you're going to start seeing behind the scenes communication that proves it. That proves that the Browns organization is littered with racism. That supports Brian Flores' lawsuit that the NFL is rife with racism, and the lack of accountability by the NFL Players Association to protect Shedeur, the lack of accountability by the commissioner to hold Haslam accountable. It took the fans, who are known to be loyalists and diehards, to hold this team accountable. And again, you got to be a special kind of fool to do all of this on camera and to begin to correct your course because you realize you a legal liability.
And he was able to go out there and go 2 for 3 in that session. He finished it off with 2 completions against some of the best defenders in the NFL. So I just thought that was a really good sign for him.
How are, based on what you've heard, Mary Kay?
So based on what you heard, Mary Kay, is he a good teammate? If you notice, whenever they talked about Shedeur in the season, they never talked about him as a quarterback. They kept talking about his celebrity, his fame. They tried to paint him as a distraction so they can use it to cut him. But see, they're so arrogant. They had him throw into the equipment managers. Like we didn't read the email that said the NFL gave out Shedeur Sanders' phone number to everybody that works for the NFL, including the equipment managers. They have tried to cut him 3 or 4 times. They want him to walk on pins and needles and minimize himself because I heard him say it. He didn't want people to boo because he didn't want them to say that he's a distraction because the fans are booing Dylan. The fans have every right to use their voice to boo Dylan because the fans felt like Dylan was being forced on them and they didn't pay money for that. They paid money for real competition. So whether Shedeur is black should be irrelevant. And as you can hear, you heard Mary Kay. Oh no, Dylan has already had first team reps. He didn't earn a goddamn thing. In fact, he's not even a 3rd round quarterback. They wasted a 3rd pick on him. So somebody sent Shedeur to Cleveland. They knew it was because Cleveland baited Shedeur in, evaluated him as a QB2, was planning to pay him $46 million and draft him and Travis. And Mary Cabot is on camera saying such at Colorado. But then they pivoted to Dylan. That makes absolutely no sense if skill set is the priority. Dylan has not improved one day since he had 160 reps and Shedeur only 100. And they only had Pickett on the roster to suck up the reps because Pickett was not sharing a locker with Jerry Jeudy. Flacco was, which meant there was no need for a competition because Flacco was going to be the starter and he bounced. How far will they go to hurt this young man? His family better wise up. And if they hear this, they better listen. This is some deep fried Klan collaborative racism. And when you see your own O-line take down the quarterback on camera, and it's obvious that it happens multiple times, and it involves the same people consistently, 55 and 77, how far will they go to hurt this young man physically? Because they have been trying all summer long, since May, to hurt him mentally, emotionally, break him down. So he will be too frazzled to ball out. But when that didn't work, when I was forced to draft you and I couldn't break you, but now I'm forced to put you in because the fans want to hold us accountable, I'm going to hurt you by allowing one of the best defenses, the most physical defenses, to blitz you repeatedly while they protected our preferred quarterback, who is not even a pro-level quarterback. So what the hell are you protecting Dillon for? Because Dillon's purpose is to block Shedeur from QB1. And that's why he never had first team reps. Because even if we forced to put you out here, we want you to fail. That's why Stefanski ran out. Dillon gonna be back. Stefanski shouldn't be back. The fans should demand accountability. And to be honest with you, maybe the FBI just need to start investigating. There's some criminality here. There's some criminality here. Unless 55 and 77 want to admit that they decided to set up their own quarterback while protecting for Dillon. And multiple occasions setting up their own quarterback. If they want to admit that and take it on the chin, that's fine. But Stefanski's still going to get it. They can protect him if they want to. But they weren't on that O-line when Stefanski is on camera documented saying we have to put him down, and he was sacked 5 times. And Stefanski is on camera multiple times and choosing not to say Shedeur Sanders' name, choosing to be evasive when people ask him about Shedeur, choosing to be dismissive when people ask him about Shedeur, dehumanizing Shedeur Sanders. Stefanski shouldn't be allowed in Berea tomorrow. And if Haslam want to keep this up, because this is what he like, do it at your own risk. Because you're going to be forced to sell your team. And to be honest with you, since the fans actually boycotted and left that stadium empty for 30 minutes before kickoff and used their voices to amplify and make accountability and stay away from the tailgate, they deserve to own their own damn team. They deserve to be like the Green Bay Packers. They don't have an owner. So the Sanders better wake up. And they better put an armed guard at Shedeur Sanders' house every goddamn day he's in Cleveland. And if you want to ignore what I'm saying, okay. Because I'm from the South. I know what I'm talking about. So let me see what y'all are saying. I know most of y'all hit me up and let me know that Shedeur Sanders' house was broken in. Thank you. I think I had already scheduled the podcast, but I knew we was going to talk about it. And shout out to Anna Jeanette, who sent me the photo of the stadium sitting empty. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. I was like, I asked her, I said, now when was it? Turns out it was 30 minutes before the stadium. Apparently, another podcaster, B. Watts, I think he's a Colorado podcaster too. He talked about it. So she sent me the photo and a link to it, and I appreciate it. So thank you for sharing that with me, because I hadn't seen it, and I didn't have a time to look up their attendance either. But you know, the fans did it. I was worried. I was like, I don't know. They've been having some fun out there, but this shows you how unhappy the fans are and how this malfeasance, this discrimination is forced upon them. They pay money, season tickets, even if it's the lowest amount in the league. It don't matter. They pay their hard-earned money to come see a competitive football game. They believe they have a chance to win when it's all orchestrated, it's all staged. And now, because the NFL has 16 black quarterbacks and Shedeur 17, the O-line and the head coach seem to be colluding, whether it's together or separately, to take down and harm physically their own quarterback. Because maybe in the NFL, having 17 black starting quarterbacks is just too many. I don't know what their motivation is, and that's not my job. My job is to do the research and present the facts. And now it's time for an investigation into the Browns, including criminality to harm Shedeur Sanders by the head coach, by the O-lineman. And the owner is allowing it. So it's called corruption. It's called racketeering. And you've heard me say it before. Organizational malpractice. They can start there. It says the damn same. Yup. It said, I remember he was just showing Bucky his house. Yup. I said the same thing too. When I saw that, I think they flashed the license plate. Not that you could get it, but if somebody want to sit down and slow it down. But you could also ask, you could also go to like the hashtag Cleveland or hashtag Shedeur Sanders and start looking and piece it together. Believe me, if you want to figure it out, you can figure it out. And I think Mariah Carey had a house here in Atlanta. They saw her on New Year's Eve platform, one of those shows, and they robbed her while she was on TV. It's not new. It's not new. But see, my issue is with Cleveland, there's so much animosity towards this young man. For people who don't want Cleveland to have a black starting quarterback, or if the Cleveland Browns themselves that have never had a franchise long-term $46 million first-round QB, that we've watched them try to harm him mentally. You heard Mary Cabot say, oh no, Dylan's already had first team reps with the offense and defense. Like, he's so much better than Shedeur. Dylan didn't earn a damn thing and didn't do nothing with what he had. And even though you heard her say Shedeur Sanders had first team defense because he's working so hard, are we to assume that he hasn't worked hard enough to earn first team reps? But you're going to put him out here in a game because the fans are demanding accountability. They thought they was going to get away with these. And it's going to blow back on the NFL itself because of what draft. And now people are seeing and hearing and understanding. Y'all don't want him to be the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. No, they don't. And wait till they make the connection that the milestone of 17 to 32 with black quarterbacks playing each other every Sunday on TV, like yesterday. Several black quarterbacks played each other yesterday. The Falcons played the Panthers. I think the Giants played the Packers. It was supposed to be Shedeur versus Lamar. They didn't want that because we was going to talk about it every day, and we still talking about it. But we were going to be excited to see it, and it was going to become a marquee game next year. And then it would be Jalen Hurts in a marquee game against another black quarterback. That's the concern. That's the concern. What was it the Texas owner said? Allegedly, because I think he actually said it. We can't have the inmates running a prison. Is that why the NFL logo is a shield? It's not new, the discrimination and devaluation of black NFL quarterbacks. It typically happens in the draft. It's well documented. The scandals in the NFL, well documented, including Bountygate, paying someone to hurt the opposing team members. But it's a new low. Whether you were paid or whether you were volunteered or you voluntold to hurt your own quarterback, that's criminality. That's not trying to get an edge on the competition. That's assault. You're trying to harm somebody. You either trying to end his career or you're trying to harm his physical person. It needs to be investigated immediately. If anything happens to this young man, Deion Sanders just might own an NFL team. Hey, Gail, how you doing? And Shedeur had an AK-47 on the floor in the back of his closet with all of his shoes. He also said he probably would never wear any of them. Shedeur needs to move from that apartment. That's the house. That's the house. And it don't matter where he moves. If they are intentionally trying to clan him, then it don't matter where he moves. We are not far removed enough with all of the movies explaining to us what they do to people when the Klan want to run people out of town. You cannot separate what happened to Shedeur in the draft. You cannot separate the humiliation he had to endure, the character assassination that he had to endure. You cannot overlook the milestone that 16 black quarterbacks have made history, although the NFL is well documented to hold them back and devalue them and disrupt their careers early on. You can't overlook any of it, and you can't separate it. You have to look at it together and remember that the NFL gave out Shedeur Sanders' phone number to harm him with a prank that happened with inside information by people connected with the New York Giants. And guess what? Daboll got fired. Don't forget, Callahan was fired after a news pop. After Callahan seemingly tried to make Cam Ward seem difficult, somebody heard the dog whistle and ran out and put a noose because they have a black quarterback. in Tennessee. And they've had black quarterbacks before, but Vince Young. So black quarterbacks are in an abusive relationship with this league. And Shedeur Sanders is in an abusive relationship with the Cleveland Browns. And they seem hell bent on destroying him, whether it's emotionally or mentally or physically as a person. And the Sanders better take it seriously and put an armed guard at his house. And when he is gone, they still need to be there. They can afford it. Don't spare no expense. Because they don't want him to be their quarterback because he's black, he's elite, he will make a hell of a lot of money because he's going to get his money and he will be there long term. They already evaluated him and were going to draft him at number 2, so they know he's good. So there's no excuse for on draft day 3, post-draft conversation saying that you passed on him because his skills were outdated, because that's the lie, Andrew Berry, and you never had to go along with that. So what you get, you get. And for Hazing to tell us he wasn't my pick, somebody called. He was forced. He was supposed to be drafted. They were going to let him go undrafted. And I said that. And then now Stefanski, allowed by Haslam, who owns the team, to go rogue and show all of us that he dehumanizes Shedeur on a daily, every time he has a press conference. It's well documented. That's discrimination. And to allow it to fester and get to the point where O-linemen, whether they taking it amongst themselves or voluntold or intimidated, into trying to harm Shedeur physically by allowing him to be sacked on 3rd down, which was trying to also destroy his career. And then his home, coincidentally, get broken into, but they didn't take nothing. Is that a message? Is that a Klan-like message? So you try to run him off, you try to hold him back, disrupt his career, put him down, humiliate him, didn't want to draft him, but you're forced to it, so you kick him every day. And then you hold him back while Dylan earns nothing and proves he's not the guy. But you use that by putting Dylan in front of Shedeur to humiliate Shedeur every day. How far will they go? Shedeur talking to Tyrod Taylor was not a coincidence. I'm pretty sure Tyrod Taylor can tell him, don't let them give you no pain injection. Because that's how they stole Tyrod Taylor's QB1 job from him and gave it to Justin Herbert. And now they mad because Justin Herbert got a girlfriend and he underperforming. That's what happened when you give people something that they didn't earn. They don't appreciate. How far will they go to physically harm Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland? And I ain't talking about no strangers. If Kevin Stefanski can issue a dog whistle that says we're going to have to put him down and he's sacked excessively just to make sure he doesn't get to QB2, and then he makes it to QB2, and then I'm forced once again, as it pertains to Shedeur, to do what I don't want to do, and then his house gets broken into? What dog whistle was sent this time? Maybe go back and listen. Because if I'm going to enlist my O-linemen, whether they volunteered or whether I told them to do it, what's to stop me from enlisting somebody to go break in his house, to run him off? Because clearly that's what I've been trying to do the whole time. The Sanders family better ask themselves what they need to do to protect this young man. And say, hey there, everybody. Hey, how you doing? Fire Kevin Stefanski immediately. And at this point, now that you know 55 and 77 blew that coverage multiple times, and whether it was together or individually, that's 3 different plays where Shedeur Sanders had an opportunity to make a play and extend the drive, and 55 blew his coverage after protecting Dylan. 77 threw his damn arms up instead of getting his man, and threw his man into Shedeur. Let his man run right into Shedeur. How you gonna throw your arms up? So you practice that. Because who the hell does that mid-play? And I saw what happened with Jameis Winston. I saw him get ready to win the game in New York. And I saw his own receiver stop dead while he was running a goddamn route. And you know what happened. Black quarterbacks, ladies and gentlemen, 16 to 32, and Shedeur is 17. And with Shedeur being a 17, he's done the dirtiest. The dirtiest. That's how important it is to them to prevent that. Prevent Black quarterbacks from becoming the majority of the starting quarterbacks, not the majority of all quarterbacks, just the damn starters. Because you're going to see them two line up. You're going to talk about it all the time. It's going to be exciting. They robbed the fans who paid money, who spent their time, whether it was TV and they paid to watch it. They robbed the fans by rigging the game against Lamar in the first half and Shedeur in the second half. It should have just been football. And yes, we would talk about it. That's what people pay for. But they willing to rob their own damn fans just to hold back. 17 Black starting quarterbacks with Shedeur being 17. That's disgusting. There's no way out of this. Not for them. It's that, oh, I'm so pissed. I hope you see it. Yup. Thank you, Mac. Hey, Nikki, how you doing? It said, grand evening, grand evening, grand evening, grand evening. How you doing? Mm-hmm. Hey, what you doing? Welcome back, Marlon. Welcome back, Marlon. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hey, Elijah, welcome back. I assumed he was in a penthouse. Now, he has a house. He has a house. I actually saw the video. And when I saw the video, and I was like, I'm a fan. I think they show too much. I do. I said that about Colorado. I know they mean well. But you got to be careful out here where Shedeur is concerned, because there are people that are trying to take him down. And what people don't understand about racism, clan-like racism, deep-fried racism, ain't nothing off the table. Nothing. Whether it's harming your family members to make you, or harming you so you can't come back and play for us because they're going to force us to put you in. If they've been trying to hold back this young man all this time and was going to make him an undrafted free agent, you should see, based on what you've already seen, what you've already witnessed, they will stop at nothing. Kevin Stefanski should be fired in investigative criminality at this point until it is proven that 55 and 77 acted independently of him, the head coach, who has dehumanized Shedeur multiple times on camera. It's well documented. There's got to be about 42,000 channels out here covering Shedeur Sanders. People don't believe it, but Google make about $1 billion a day in ad revenue. It's not just the 5 or 6 or 10 or 20 that you see. It's well documented. They say he needs protection. They are targeting him even more. I'm thinking about security. Right. I even thought about it before I first heard about it. I'm like, he needs to have a guard at his house when he's not there. And I said, no. Looking at this footage with these old linemen. Y'all saw what happened to the South Carolina player in the tunnel, right? Texas A&M game. The police officer intentionally walked into the tunnel to bump into, out of 3 players, the one player, and single him out and point him out. That's the top draft prospect. These guys are targeted. And 16 to 32, nothing's off the table to stop 17 to 32, which is Shedeur. And it's so dumb and ignorant. And you know it's racism, because even if Shedeur quit today and went to Canada, somebody else gonna be number 17. Because you keep drafting Black quarterbacks and you can't devalue talent. This draft alone should tell you, you drafted Dart and you were so desperate to keep Russell Wilson off the field, you yanked him out. Then you keep Dart out there like a rag doll and get him heavily concussed. You can look it up. 3 concussions is concerning. How many has he had? Just to keep a Black QB off the field. You can just about look at damn near every team with a Black quarterback, and I bet you're going to find somebody on the tape. It's still going to be 17 because you're going to still keep drafting them. And at the end of the day, just because you were going to make Shedeur an undrafted free agent, you ain't get away with that, did you? You were forced to draft him. So that says you cannot control the unforeseen. But that's where arrogance and ignorance get together. And that's why the league is mediocre this year. Because I want to suppress Lamar. And I want to suppress Shedeur because I don't want this game to be the most talked about game. And I don't want these two to be the marquee. I don't want the black quarterbacks to be the stars, the heroes. Why? Because I've said race norming dictates that I've been practicing since this league started, was sued instead of $1 billion lawsuit for it, that black NFL players are dumber, or lower cognitive thinking than their white counterparts. And that's obviously not the truth if they ascend all the way to QB1 and the majority of the QB1s. It's just God speaking out. You can do what you're gonna do, but I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. But they don't believe in God. I don't think they do, because look how mad they get when Travis got baptized. Look at how upset they got when Justin Fields, the owner, attacked him verbally after he said, well, I'm just going to use my time on the bench to spread the word of the Lord because, I'm still here because of it. Y'all know Shedeur. They don't like that because they want to control you. They don't want you to believe in God because then I can't control you. The problem is that too many of these owners out here buying these damn teams, thinking it's a plantation and they having fun with people's lives like the black players are slaves. Absolutely not. That's why they didn't want the fans to hold them accountable. So they're going to take it out on Shedeur. Mm-hmm. There's no way out of this. And how far will they go? Because they ain't stopped yet. Deep fried racism, you better protect Shedeur. That's all I'm going to say. It said, like the stream, everyone, we need to get the numbers up. Thank you. It said, they still not ready for Shedeur. Is there any hope for the playoff? Right. How many times have you heard that Shedeur will emphatically get first team reps this week? What you have heard is them tell Mary Cabot that it's a chance that he might play. They lied to her. She saw with her own eyes that Shedeur didn't get first team reps. She saw with her own eyes that Dillon got first team reps with the offense and the defense. That Shedeur only got it with the defense. She saw that with her own eyes. That's why they had her on. But during the draft, they also let her think, what? We're going to do this, we're going to do that. They ain't do nothing. They even pretended that they taken because they're not. They already got 2 first-round picks. They already have their franchise quarterback. The guy that they evaluated at number 2, and Adam Schefter said he can say with certainty that the Cleveland Browns are taking Shedeur Sanders as their franchise QB. Now, just because you change your mind don't mean his skill set was diminished, and there's no justification for it. We don't give a damn if you changed your mind, but you're not going to lie about who this kid is. And it should make people question if there ever was a real intent, or was it a bait and switch? Something that happens in the NFL all the time. But with Shedeur, it was gross because it happened on the year that the NFL black starting quarterbacks would become the majority, with Shedeur, number 2 overall to the Cleveland Browns, as the 17th black starting quarterback. Now, that has nothing to do with Coach Prime. It's disgusting. People just need to understand how disgusting it really is and stop sitting up and assuming, oh, they ain't going to do nothing. All right. I want y'all to notice that of all the players and the people that work for the Cleveland Browns, especially the players, we only know about 2 that got speeding tickets. And that's Myles Garrett, who you see keep coming to defend Shedeur, gravitating towards Shedeur, standing up for Shedeur, and Shedeur Sanders in a town called Strongsville, which has only 2% black people, but the black people in Strongsville get ticketed the most. And we only know about them. And Mary Cabot, in her own reporting, tried to paint the picture with Myles Garrett as being reckless. But they was fine with him before he gravitated towards Shedeur. And it should let you know that they painted a picture that he's reckless afterwards and told us about his 8th speeding ticket when we didn't know about the first 7. And only Shedeur and Myles Garrett, we've only known about their speeding tickets. That is all orchestrated. So somebody better put an armed guard on Shedeur Sanders 24/7. While he sleep, while he at work, while he's awake, him and his house, and no new friends. Shedeur needs to get away from those demons. Yep. He needs protection. Hey, how you doing, Mac? It says security and bodyguards. As he gets closer to being QB1, somebody will try to target him. Right. And here's the thing. Breaking into his house is the first step. This is some deep fried racism here. It's somebody don't want him to get the QB1 to save their life. Now, if I go back and check the list on who the 16 or 32 are, Spencer Rattler was benched for Tyler Shaw. So we should be good, right? Oh, Jameis Winston became the starter because Jackson Dart is out hurt. So Shedeur very well could be number 17. I'm going to go back and check. We're going to talk about it because we're going to do an update on them. We 11 weeks in after what I saw against Lamar, his own team taking him down in the first half, and Shedeur Sanders, his own O-line, taking him down in the second half. And in the first half, watching the Ravens defense protect Dillon, but full out of thought on Shedeur. We're going to do an update on 16 or 17 or 32. And then it might explain to you why Shedeur is in danger. Praying for Shedeur. Yep, that's what we need to do. And I hope his family hear it and they take it seriously. It said, did anyone hear Shedeur house was robbed during the game? Yep. They said they didn't take nothing yet. That's what I heard. Penthouse. No, it wasn't a penthouse. He lives in a house. From what I could see, he lives in a house with a lot of trees around. Some people already know it's 30 minutes outside of Cleveland. I don't know Cleveland like that, but some people know where the 30 minutes outside of Cleveland are. You could see kind of, he had really nice things. I think I saw jewelry. I think I saw clothes. I saw shoes. You know, I know they have a dog. I know that there's a dog there. Now he needs internal, external cameras on the front, the back, the side. He has to protect himself. He is a target. As he might be 17 or 32. And this is why everything is getting so extreme with his own O-lineman, 77 to 55. His own head coach, Kevin Stefanski, trying to take down their own quarterback. And then somebody breaks into his house. As somebody from the South, and you could ask anybody from the South, you can't ignore that. You can't ignore none of it. Going all the way back to luring him into the NFL celebrity game, but chastising him because he's a celebrity. To the commissioner telling Shedeur put his hand on his shoulder, I'm worried about your pops. That's premeditated. Armed guards, bodyguards, 24/7 on the house, whether they're there or not. It's not a penthouse, it's a regular house. It said, peace and blessings, how you doing? It said he needs to get an armed bodyguard. Yep. It said, yes, bums, he needs 2 of them. It said, I'm talking like a former Fed agent or something. I mean, it's just a reality. It's just the reality, you know, that's what it is. This was on purpose. Thank you. And Richard Sherman, he's here in Seattle. What happened to Richard Sherman? It said, the Sanders should already know he needs a personal security team. Where's Big Homie CC? Who is Big Homie CC? It's they got to have someone at the house 24/7, whether you're there or not. He needs to keep their team members from over there too. I don't trust him either. I mean, you definitely can't know nobody on the O-line because that's a bad look there. That's the bad look. That's the bad look. Here's what it is that people were saying. The first thing people blew up about. Then there was the second thing. We probably have to do a whole separate show just talking about the plays themselves. The 2 times he was sacked, for sure, were 3rd down plays, which means they intentionally blew their coverages so he could get sacked to disrupt the drive so they could send in the punters. That's coaching. That's coaching. This is Shannon Sharpe. I'm so proud of Shannon Sharpe for speaking up and calling it what it is and telling the truth. Let's take a listen to what he says. I've curated a few clips to listen to because this is important, right?
Mary Kay, and I know yesterday Shadeur and Dillon got their first chances to go up against the first team defense. Flacco with the ones went against the second team defense. Was that more of Kevin Stefanski just shuffling things up in a way that he anticipated doing all week, or was that a result of Dillon and Shadeur looking good in practice and earning some of those reps against the first team defense?
Well, first of all, Dillon has already had opportunities with and against the first team offense. So it wasn't his first opportunity to do that. The new thing that happened yesterday was that Shedeur got a chance to go against the first team defense a little bit. And he did so working with the second team offense. So it was, just.
So she basically confirmed he's never worked with the first team defense going all the way back to July before the first preseason game. And for Kevin Stefanski to admit Shedeur has never worked out with the first team after the Ravens game is insane because now you can hear her. He never worked out with the first team before the Panthers game. So they keep putting him out there without getting him ready. And for people who say, I never had first team reps. If you do not work for the Cleveland Browns in 2025, with Dylan Gabriel getting first team reps that this woman just told you about with her chest stuck out, first team offense, first team defense way back in July, and he was QB3. Let it go, because it don't matter. All that matters is the discrepancy or the disparate treatment of Shedeur Sanders by Kevin Stefanski. Dylan Gabriel, QB3, getting first team reps to get ready, and he's QB3. With the offense and the defense, QB3. And Shedeur Sanders is QB2 in a real live setting. Regular season, QB2, he don't get first team reps. This proves discrimination. This proves disparate treatment. This warrants an investigation. I told you everything is already documented. So now we're going to listen to Shannon Sharpe. Shannon just, he was upset about it. So let's just listen.
For Kevin Stefanski to say the first time that Shedeur Sanders had taken a snap with the starters, with the ones, was in this game, is malpractice. At no point in time, and this is what I said, Ocho, so at no point in time, so you don't think Dylan Gabriel could possibly get hurt. He can't possibly bring a knee, bring a shoulder, get concussion. There's no possible way anything could possibly go wrong that you want to get Shedeur like 1 reps with the ones, 2 reps with the ones. I ain't saying split it 50-50. I understand that. But even when John was taking the majority of the reps, John, if we did 10 reps in a period, the backup would take 2. Just in case.
So here's the thing, right? Just in case. So here, this should tell you, now that you heard Mary Cabot, well, her chest stuck out back July 31st, that Dylan Gabriel, QB3, nowhere near getting ready to play, QB3, had first team and first team reps on offense and defense in the manner she told you this. They're very proud of it. Very, very proud to hold out the discrepancy. Should tell you the young man has been in a toxic environment since he set foot in Cleveland. He's not safe. How far will they go? How far will they go to harm this young man, to make sure he doesn't become QB1? And I will remind you, Tyrod Taylor had his lung punctured, and that's what they used to steal his job from him. Understand this. It's not a coincidence that Tyrod Taylor was just seen on the field swapping jerseys with Shedeur Sanders. You know why? Heads up. You ain't safe, buddy. So that's what it is. Shannon Sharpe called it out. It's good that he called it out because it needed to be said. A lot of people want to talk about, it's this, that, and the other. No, it already happened in Cleveland. I could see if Dylan didn't have first team reps. Dylan had first team reps with offense and the defense, like she said, as a QB3. So they gladly gave him to him when he wasn't going to even need him. So they thought, because they knew Flacco was the guy, so that meant Dylan was going to be QB2. And when I believe Daniel Uyefuse asked Stefanski, now that Dylan is the starter because Flacco left, is Shedeur getting QB2? No. We got to focus on the young quarterback. Is Shedeur a young quarterback? Minimizing, dismissive, dehumanization of Shedeur Sanders. Discrimination, racism, masterclass. Oh, he don't like Shedeur. It's well beyond him not liking him. It's a lot of people, y'all probably in the audience know, y'all don't like, but you're not out here trying to upend their life and their career. You're not trying to physically harm them. You're not trying to break them down so they can't function day to day. You're not trying to run them off like Richie Incognito did Jonathan Martin. And guess what? When that happened, the higher ups, the coach, the GM, they knew about it. So nothing new. It's time for an investigation. Start with organizational malpractice, and under the tenets of organizational malpractice or negligence and discrimination. That's at least 2. There are others. It's beyond time now. Because, I feel like, having people to break into his house, that's just criminal. And people, you can't dismiss it. And all these people want to sugarcoat it with this language that they scared to use. Just don't talk about it if you're not going to be honest. Because if something happened to this young man, y'all complicit, because you could have said what it was. You could have pointed out the truth instead of saying, well, I ain't know that was going to happen. Because that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do. So that's what it is, guys. So shout out to Shannon Sharpe. Now, I don't know if y'all had a chance to see all the plays. We can actually talk about them tomorrow because it's multiple. It's multiple. Let's see. I'm back over here in the comments. It says, especially with the ring cam system. Yeah, he needs a ring cam in the front. He needs a camera system. He needs bodyguards. You cannot take the extremes they're going through to keep this young man off the field at QB1 and to keep him from being successful at QB1. We have now entered sabotage by your own head coach, and 55 and 77 were acting independently. And 77 was quick to say, we've only heard his cadence 2 to 3 times. Why you didn't tell your coach that? So you want to say it was an accident. It wasn't an accident when they blew their coverage. Regardless of what the play was, you know who your man was. It's the one-on-one matchup. Win your matchup. 77 threw up his hand and let his matchup hit Shedeur. 55 did the same thing. So you can't say his cadence is what you didn't understand. That's on the play when they split in half. But he showed you the guy was getting ready to blitz him, and you decided to turn your back on him. The same 2 of the 3, 77 and 55, that blew their independent one-on-one matchups. No excuses. None. It said, that's crazy work. He has been so active in that community. Right. Here's the thing. I don't even think that has nothing to do with it. To be honest with you, I don't think it has anything to do with the community. I think you have to look at the fact whether Cleveland trying to run Shedeur off, trying to make him think we're going to cut you if you're a distraction. You saw a young lady run up behind him when he was talking to his mother, and his brother, when Shiloh pretended to be Shedeur, by saying, oh, I have to make sure you stay out of trouble. So they're trying to paint the picture on the Cleveland side of things that Shedeur is a nuisance, so they can have a justification to get rid of him because they were forced to draft him. So how far will they go to get rid of him? Harm him physically? Force him to quit? Intimidation? They already know they can't break him mentally. They know he got people around. But did they know those people were at the game? So they sent people to the house. Because not all of us know where he live at. But I'm sure HR does in Cleveland. I'm sure they have his address. How far would they go? Sanders, Coach Prime better protect his son. Hey, everybody. Hey, Gracie, how you doing? It said, I'll stay with them for them. ABC have a surprise for them. Yeah, somebody need to be in that house to surprise them. Facts. And I was like, I wonder if they didn't take anything, because they didn't go there to take anything. I mean, honestly, how many people got Shedeur Sanders' address? It's a rental house. Think about it. How many people had Shedeur Sanders' draft phone? Only the NFL. It's a rental house. I can't look him up and find him if the house is in other people's names. It ain't an inside job because it ain't enough for them there to do it. So who had his address? Cleveland got his address. He got to get paid. I got to send him communication. Somebody got his address in Cleveland. And they know Joe Burrow was 4 hours up the road, and it happened to him last year, just like they knew kids was pranking other players. But we all ascertained that this prank was an inside job, and it came out to be true. And the NFL lied and said it was the Falcons. Turns out it was not. It was the NFL itself, along with the New York Giants. And now a rental house gets broken into and they don't take anything. After Stefanski's on the hot seat and the fans are forcing them into accountability to play the best QB, which is Shedeur. And while he's at the game and they know who's in town, somebody breaks in his house and they don't take nothing. Clan-like racism. It's called intimidation. It's not a penthouse. It's not a penthouse. It's an actual house on the ground with trees around it. It's not a penthouse. It's not a penthouse at all. Malpractice. Yes, definitely malpractice. Definitely malpractice. I mean, that's just what's proven today, right? Even listening to Mary Cabot back July 31st, you know. I'll play it one more time for people that join us and we can go back to the comments because this is very important. Very, very, very important. It proves that long time ago, months ago, that Dillon had first team reps when there was no possibility of him being the starter at QB3. And Shedeur was rewarded with first team reps with the defense. And to this day, not even just in case Shedeur wasn't rewarded after all of his hard work. So they did just enough, but never getting him ready because they didn't want him to succeed. How far will they go so he doesn't succeed?
Nugget about Shedeur yesterday, and I think it's a good sign. I think he got rewarded for working really, really hard and doing a really nice job on everything.
Okay, and I know yesterday Shedeur and Dillon got their first chances to go up against the first team defense. Flacco with the ones went against the second team defense. Was that more of Kevin Stefanski just shuffling things up in a way that he anticipated doing all week, or was that a result of Dillon and Shedeur looking good in practice and earning some of those reps against the first team defense?
Well, first of all, Dillon has already had opportunities with and against the first team offense. So it wasn't his first opportunity to do that. The new thing that happened yesterday was that Shedeur got a chance to go against the first team defense a little bit. And he did so working with the second team offense. So it was, just a little nugget about Shedeur yesterday. And I think it's a good sign. I think he got rewarded for working really, really hard and doing a really nice job on everything. And he was able to go out there and go 2 for 3 in that session. He finished it off with 2 completions against some of the best defenders in the NFL. So I just thought that was a really good sign for him.
How are, based on
so
what
there
you
you
heard,
go. You already
Mary
know.
Kay.
Dillon already had first team reps with the offense and the defense as a QB3, but Shedeur cannot get them first team reps to get ready as the QB2 behind the starter. Anything could happen. He could slip on a bar of soap in the shower, right? He could get the flu, right? But Shedeur is not ready. They had no intention on Shedeur being successful in Cleveland. None. And look at how extreme and how bold they are. Somebody just pointed out they know we're watching and they're still bold with it. Clan-like racism. I keep trying to tell you. They know you're watching. Stefanski know he's on camera. And he's intentionally dehumanizing Shedeur and has been dismissive of Shedeur. And when the fans start booing, because, then Dillon gets in. But before that, Kevin Stefanski starts to be nice because he's a legal liability. Now, let's see if Haslam continues to move forward with Stefanski, and if they want to come out and be all arrogant and bold and say, we're sticking with Stefanski. Okay, because he's a legal liability. That's on you, boo. Because we all see it. And because you're stupid enough to be bold with it, okay. Because everything up to this point is already documented by thousands of channels. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. They show where his 55 O-lineman, blue coverage, the one next to him did too. Both had their hands on each other in different directions. Yeah, 55 is obvious with it. 77 tried to play it off and get an Oscar, but it didn't make no sense. It didn't make any sense. And when you couple that with the play where they split in the middle and the left tackle and the left guard are over here, in the center, the right guard and the right tackle have turned perpendicular to Shedeur with the blitz coming right at him. Shedeur pointed out the blitz. They said, I wonder if they did that for Kevin Stefanski. So now when you investigate, the question is, were you acting independently to set up your own quarterback? Or were you working at the behest of your head coach? Because at the end of the day, we know you set up your own quarterback. We know you sabotage your own quarterback at least 3 times on 3 separate occasions on camera. So you can admit that you were working independently together, or you can admit that you were working at the behest of your head coach. Because you cannot deny that you set up your own quarterback on camera. Kevin Stefanski should have been fired already, and 77 and 55 should have been relieved of their duties immediately. They said the game got excited when Shedeur got in. Right. That's why they never wanted Shedeur to take the field. We've actually talked about this. They know if Shedeur get out there and ball out, it's over. You know what fans ascertained after last night? When he had coverage, he balled out. It's over. Because now we know he didn't have coverage because they intentionally sabotaged him to disrupt 2 third-round drives so he could not continue to shine. This is why they weren't going to draft him at all. But they couldn't stop that, could they? And they've already wanted to cut him multiple times. Yet, they could not. And now, everybody's beginning to call for an investigation. Why? Because the NFL won't do anything. The NFL Players Association won't protect their own players. So now the fans who had to hold them accountable have to call for a congressional hearing. Whether it's today or tomorrow. It's up to the fans. People always asking, what did I do? You know all those people you just elected? Call them. Don't matter what state you're in. Call them. Talk about it. That's their job. Mary Kay and Tony Grossi for those Mary Kay and Tony Grossi voted for those awards. Oh, they're talking about those 2 manufactured Coach of the Year awards to justify keeping Stefanski around. They are voted on by the media. Just like, if I'm not mistaken, the only way Josh Allen won the Lamar Jackson 3rd MVP was because people changed their votes. And one of the people that changed their votes was Emmanuel Acho. Look it up. Winning touchdown hit the wide receiver in his hands. Yeah, now let me talk about that play. Okay, now I like Gage, and I saw how disappointed he was. And one of the reasons I know that play would have been caught by Travis, would have been caught by LeJohntay, Will Shepherd, hell, probably Jimmy Horn Jr., but, you know, he a slot receiver. Any Colorado receiver, Omarion, is because Colorado's wide receivers are trained and developed. Don't worry about falling on the ground. Travis never worried about falling on the ground. Gage was trying to break his fall with his hand, and that's how the ball go. And he's friends with Shedeur, and y'all know that was the same Hail Mary you've seen with LeJohntay, you've seen with Travis, right? But that's not LeJohntay, that's not Travis. Gage was a walk-on. And that might have more to do, he has hands. But when it comes to a one-on-one situation with a veteran and you're a walk-on rookie, maybe haven't seen every single thing. That's what happens. Now, the next time he ain't going to fall back on his hands. He going to fall on whatever part of his body, and he going to understand. We watch Will Shepherd. We watch Will Shepherd develop before our eyes. Balls hitting right in the middle, didn't hold on to it. Shedeur was like, all right, now you got to get this ball. And he got it. And he's in the NFL. But the point is, it depends on the schools you went to. Coach Prime said it. Shedeur has seen everything. And we know that he would have connected. And one of the reasons I think Shedeur had his hand in his head is because this should have felt so Colorado-ish with Pat Schumer from last year. Because Shedeur, in that Baylor game, where we saw that Hail Mary to LeJontay in the rain, that's where Shedeur cemented his legacy. He was able to overcome the right side of his O-line, which was setting him up at Colorado. And LeJontay caught the ball. But there was a pass before that ball to another person. And they didn't catch it. So they ran it up again. Just like you saw it go to Isaiah Bond. They ran it back again and they got it. People want to talk about the pass to Isaiah Bond and, oh, what it would have been. I'm like, oh, you're going to act like you didn't see the perfectly thrown pass? You know why that pass to Isaiah Bond was like it was? Because they let Shedeur get in. He wasn't sacked because the ball was already gone. But if you play golf and you understand, if you follow through with your swing, if you at least interrupted at any point of that, and honestly, if you know anything about golf, it's not the contact with the ball. It's not the swing to the back. It's the contact with the ball and how high, how far it'll go. He was being pressured. So when Shedeur wasn't, when he had coverage, which tells you they knew they couldn't blow their coverage every time. So they strategically chose to blow their coverage on 2 third downs, which disrupted the drive so the punter can come out or the field goal kicker or whatever. But to take the play away from Shedeur's hands. This is no different than taking Shedeur out the game at the 2-minute drill and putting in Huntley, who they had already determined was going to be cut before lunch the next day. Now, they cut the Goon Squad from the summer from the Rams game. Let me see them cut 77 and 55. Because that's what it is. That's what it is, guys. It's just fraud. That's all. It's fraud, it's sabotage, it's malfeasance, it's corruption. And when you have a head coach showing and setting up the culture to be toxic towards one player, intimidating other players, stoking fear into the player you're trying to hold back, eliminate, run off, that you're actively discriminated against. You have actively enlisted your O-lineman, 77 and 55, volunteered, acted independently. Just like saying, we're going to have to take him down. You issued a dog whistle. Kevin Stefanski should not be allowed to go to work tomorrow. Shedeur Sanders is not safe as long as Kevin Stefanski is the head coach. I have said that multiple times. And here we are, somebody breaking into his house. How far will they go to stop Shedeur Sanders from balling out as a QB1 this season with the Cleveland Browns? How far will they go? They want to keep Stefanski, or are they willing to trade Shedeur? And that's going to be a problem if they make him start over or trade him at anything less than a QB1. How far will they go? So I'm looking for the play so y'all can actually see it. And we're probably going to talk about this tomorrow. Here it is right here. This is the play where that people immediately called out sabotage. Immediately. And this play has gone viral on social media. And with people breaking this play down, telling you what's happening. Okay, so before the play starts, all right, let me make sure y'all can see. Okay, y'all can see. All right, so, all right, I'm over here small to the bottom. So before the play starts, now you see this. Shedeur's already in motion, but Shedeur had to snap the ball, right? So that meant everybody was in a straight line. And Shedeur saw this guy in the white jersey right here coming towards him at his 11 o'clock, okay? Shedeur straight ahead, 12 o'clock, nobody's in front of him. To the left, a white jersey, the other team, the Ravens, coming straight at him. But Shedeur peeped this before the play, before the ball was snapped. So he told his O-lineman what to do. When Shedeur snapped the ball, he goes back. This is what they do. This is the center, number 55, This is number 77, who have blown their coverage 2 additional times in addition to this. And they parted the Red Sea and let this guy sack Shedeur. And this could have been a play to Isaiah Bond. Again, I'd have to watch it again. You can't really play it. I think I found out how to do it. So we might look at this tomorrow. So understand, even if this man doesn't sack Shedeur, he's pressuring him. Shedeur ain't worried about pressure. I'm still in the pocket. But he got to give his receiver time to get in motion. So I'm dependent on the O-line to protect me and the receiver to run the route and get separation. I have to be able to trust my O-line, first of all, and he can't do that no more. He has to now, every game he plays, he has, if these guys still on the team, 77 and 55, he has to overcome the O-line like he did at Colorado, like he did at the Baylor game. And guess what? He did. And he perfectly placed that ball to Gage. Now it's on the receiver, and Gage is a receiver that he trusts. But he's a rookie, and he was a walk-on. The lack of experience going up against a veteran defender who knew his prey. And that's why it didn't work. I don't believe there was malfeasance with Gabe. Gabe was bullied by Denver's defense. That's all it was. I mean, not Denver, I guess the Ravens defense. Number 3 for the Ravens, he just bullied Gage. And Gage was a rookie. He knew it. He smelled blood. He went for it. If Gage wasn't worried about breaking his fall with his hand, which is a natural instinct, that tells you the lack of experience is why he dropped that ball. And that's why he was so disappointed sitting on the ground, because he's friends with Shedeur. He knows what's happening. He knows how toxic it is against Shedeur. He probably feels like he let Shedeur down. Maybe next time. But Stefanski got to be fired first. And the O-linemen, they need to be fired along with him. Because how can you trust your O-line? But Shedeur overcame it at Colorado. He knew what to do from a certain point going forward. And he was able to do it. And he actually did it in this game. So this is the play that's going viral that everybody's talking about. It said, what in the actual blah, blah, blah is happening right now? It says somebody needs to investigate the Browns front office and Kevin Stefanski. There are multiple calls for this happening for different reasons. Lack of first team reps. Being Stefanski dehumanizing Shedeur. The O-line setting up Shedeur. Haslam allowing it to happen. Andrew Berry lying and saying Shedeur said the skill set is outdated. It's time to clean the house in Cleveland. It's time for a congressional hearing. Call your Congress people. People want to know who to call. That's what you do. That's what you do. Because one thing about it, they cannot ignore their constituents overwhelmingly calling them up about the Cleveland Browns and the corruption that is taking place, that is playing out before our eyes on camera repeatedly, including a live game scenario. They can't do it. It don't matter what state you're in. It don't matter at all. So that's where we are on what the hell is happening. And then when you add the break into the house, they didn't get nothing. You have to ask yourself, how far will they go to hurt Shedeur so he won't be QB1, whether it's emotionally or physically? 55 and 77 did that on purpose. Yep. It said the good old boy system. Yep. It said Shedeur was making up plays on the fly. He has a sleeve on. He's not making up plays on the fly. He had a sleeve on. I saw the sleeve. And that's what I meant by I knew there would be somebody that will come and say, Shedeur this, Shedeur that. 55 and 77 blew their coverage twice. In addition to this. Remember, he was sacked twice. He already got rid of the ball on this play. For them to do that, with him telling them, this guy could have blitzed me, blocked me, y'all all huddle up together. There is no play in the world. I don't think I have ever seen an O-line do that. when the quarterback says there's a blitz right here. They basically were letting Shedeur know, we're not covering for you. It seems like some petty high school bullshit, but you know what? It's not. It's dangerous. Because you see the size of that defender, don't you? If I keep letting you get stacked, what you think gonna happen? You're gonna get hurt. How far will they go? Yep, 55 and 77 did that on purpose. Yep, it's just facts, just facts, just facts. Home invasion sounds like digging for dirt on Shedeur. Could be, Wild Dog. I never thought about that. Wild Dog Media says he feels like maybe they were digging for dirt on Shedeur. I'm like, for what I've seen so far, it's not a lot of people who know where Shedeur lived. That was a rental house. That was not his house. Only a few select people knew where he lived. Everybody knew he would be playing a game. And because we watched them try to use a widespread prank and cover up their own humiliation of him and lie and blame the Falcons when it was the New York Giants and the NFL, nothing is off the table. You have to investigate every nook and cranny. You have to look everywhere. The front office, the back office, you have to question everybody. There's already evidence of a toxic environment, intimidation of other players, isolation in public of Shedeur Sanders. That's abuse. He's just been able to withstand it. And now, since their hand has been forced once again, this time by the fans, his house gets broken into. And nothing was taken. That's no different than burning a cross on the front lawn at all. After we watch your O-line, who are dumb enough on camera, on multiple individual plays, the same two people consistently, 55 and 77, set you up and allow you to be sacked on 2 third-down plays to disrupt the drive. Yeah, it's going to be people that say, nah, that's okay. It don't matter what they think. They don't have nothing to do with this situation. And people are starting to point out that the people coming for Shedeur and that are choosing to deny it know exactly what it is. And they think they're going to block accountability. Good luck with that. They never talked about the car giveaway. Did they ever talk about Garden Valley? In fact, he was told not to go. Both physically and emotionally. Right. That's how they're trying to harm him. They feel like they can't get to him emotionally, so they're trying to get to him physically now. Instead, they didn't know how to block the plays they were drawing up. Bullshit. You have a one-on-one assignment. Football. The one thing they have said about football is just X's and O's. Go this way, turn left right here at the 40, get it done. See, all the excuses that people want to make. And yeah, people said, okay, this is not a game plan for Shedeur. I know one thing. I ain't never seen Dylan throw no damn Hail Mary. Yes, Shedeur had on the sleeve. He probably called the audible. But there is no way on earth your quarterback is telling the three of you to line up and turn away from the blitz. No. You're not going to convince anybody who plays football of that. Nobody has ever seen that before. And considering 2 of the 3, 55 and 77, on separate occasions in the same game, blew their coverage intentionally. I showed y'all what it looks like when they were blocking for Dylan. I showed y'all how raggedy it looks when they were blocking for Shedeur. There's no coincidence here. There's no excuse. There's no justification. And when 77 came out and said, I've only heard his cadence 3 times, nobody has ever told him on any level of football to huddle up with the other 3 and turn toward the stands. Nobody. Turn away from the blitz that the quarterback pointed out to you. Nobody. So that's bullshit. That just tells you he already had an excuse ready to go because this was premeditated. Thank you. Premeditated, just like the the commissioner telling Shedeur, even before anybody knew, including Coach Prime, I'm worried about your pops. Did they give him something to be worried about? Because he damn sure ain't psychic. Yeah, other people are doing film breakdowns. There's a lot of it happening because people are pointing out how lackluster the defense was for the Ravens when Dillon was out there. They're using charts, they're using graphs, they're using colors to show you that when Shedeur got in, they were hella intense. So understand this. If the Browns are taking down their own quarterback with using the O-line, right? Because we know he didn't have no chemistry with the wide receivers. And they know that too, which is why Jerry Jeudy was sharing a locker with Flacco, because they understand chemistry, but they denied Shedeur the opportunity to build chemistry. They denied Shedeur first team reps to be ready just in case. So if you deny Shedeur the opportunity to get ready, how do I know that you did not enlist 77 and 55 to deny Shedeur the opportunity to execute and convert on third downs, something he had already was doing in the game? He did good. When they chose to protect for Shedeur, and they knew they could blow their coverage every single time, they strategically chose to blow coverage on third downs so Shedeur could not convert, so he could come off the field. So it should let you know how important it is for Shedeur to not be on the field as QB1 or period. It should let you know the extremes they are willing to go through to keep him off the field and his house being broken into and nobody taking anything is aching to burn it across on the front lawn. I'm sending you a message. And just because you don't have experience with it or don't know about it, don't mean it's not a reality. But I would advise you not to sit around and wait till it is. They're getting rid of a lot of these offensive O-linemen. This didn't happen because they were old, Roger. It don't matter. And I pointed out, right? I pointed out that they went to the draft, intended to get Shedeur, and flipped over to Dillon. And they didn't get the entrees. They only got the sides. They got two running backs and Quinshon Judkins and somebody else. Receivers. And they didn't get any O-linemen. So you was just going to let Dillon get sacked, and he has been sacked 17 times. So here's the thing. Did you know you were going to devalue Shedeur after you baited and switched? You knew you were going to magically end up with him because you have already recouped the 2 picks you had to use to get him after you were forced into it, which is why they look so disgusted. Did you know you were going to get Shedeur at 144 or any other number in the 5th round or 6th round or 7th round, because the plan was to have him lured in to come to Green Bay to be humiliated on camera. And then when that didn't happen, the headline said it's a good thing Shedeur didn't come to Green Bay because he got locked out of the 1st round. I'm like, now how long has that been planned? Chase Daniels, when he was on the facility, when the show was still on, I believe Jackson Dart gonna sneak into the 1st round. I said, if he good, why he got to sneak? So is it that they knew Shedeur was locked out of the 1st round when they knew Jackson Dart was going to sneak in the 1st round and they were going to draft Jackson Dart instead of Shedeur? It should once again remind you of the extremes that they were willing to go through to keep Shedeur away from QB1. How far would they go to keep him off the field? How far would they go to keep him from QB1? How far would they go to prevent 17 of 32? How premeditated was his draft push out of the 5th round? Hazing by the Browns frat. Nope, it's discrimination. Hazing, when you haze someone, you put them to extremes to call them your brother. They're not hazing Shedeur. They are actively and openly discriminating against Shedeur Sanders because he's a Black franchise elite quarterback that was a first round prospect. So they did all sorts of kind of nasty work to prevent that. And now his house has been broken into after we watched his own O-line set him up, after all summer watching his own coach dehumanize him. How far would they go to prevent him from becoming QB1, 17, 18, 19, or 20 of 32? How many games left? All right. How far would they go? No excuses. What about who owns the property? A realtor? I don't know. It's the rental house. He might know those people. They normally get to be pretty friendly with a lot of people. Sounds like UCLA, the same people most likely. UCLA, what does that mean? Teller and Pocket. Yeah. People want to make excuses for these guys, right? But these people fooling around and hurt Shedeur, y'all gonna lose your damn minds. See, I'm the voice to come along and to ask you how far they willing to go. I'm the voice to come along and point out when he just exchanged a jersey with Tyrod Taylor. I'm the one to remind you, enlighten you. Tyrod Taylor had his lung punctured. That's pretty goddamn severe. That's pretty goddamn extreme to move somebody out of QB1. So I ask you, how far are they willing to go? And the Chargers never fired the doctor that punctured Tyrod Taylor's lung. And you could just use Google to see how far your lung is from the multiple layers of skin getting past this muscle tissue, ligament, and everything. How far are they willing to go? If they punctured Tyrod Taylor's lung and never fired the doctor, so you weren't worried about him doing that to nobody else. Premeditated. And that's why he's suing. And that's why he's still in the league. How far will they go? To harm, take down, eliminate from competition, upend his career or end his life. Shedeur Sanders. How far would they go? All I hear is excuses. O-line was doing boots on the ground and not blocking at all. At all. Why do you think Dillon is silent about all this? Because he's involved. Dillon knows he's not better than Shedeur. Dillon knew, hell, he wasn't better than Shedeur on the damn Heisman stage because all of college football talked about it. Dillon knows. And I said this about a week ago. He ought to realize at this point, he's a patsy. They let him get sacked because they don't want Shedeur on the field. Same thing with Jackson Dart. How many times was this young man heavily concussed? 3 concussions is concerning. Look it up. And they were going to leave him out there to keep a Black quarterback off the field. How far will they go? Investigation. 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 You can't not do it. You have to do it before anything else happens. Because things just keep happening and they keep escalating and they're getting worse because he's getting closer and closer to becoming a starter. That's why they didn't get him prepared, because they don't want him to be the starter. They don't want him on the field because they know you're going to say he's excited. We want to see Shedeur. Even a dime bag, access to information. Who told them to rob the team at UCLA? I don't know. I'm not sure what your point is. Because he's apathetic to race matters. That's a good one. Instead, Prime already knew about the Cleveland Browns. I don't think he knew this. Even Eric Dickerson said it. Eric Dickerson said they weren't going to draft him. And I don't even think Coach Prime or his dad understands the extent that they're willing to go. He not. I don't think so either. Because Shedeur would not be up there by himself without security, without 24/7, without somebody protecting his house. What is mama going to do? Them big guys that's always around, they need to just go on and move in. He already had to get a driver, thank God. One situation led to him getting a driver. Now this situation, everything last night and the break-in should lead to you getting 24/7 armed guard because you ain't safe around these people. The NFL ain't done nothing so far. They fined the Ravens because they didn't know if Lamar practiced a full practice or half a practice. They fined the Ravens. But is anybody going to talk about 77 and 55 taking down their own quarterback? But it was important to find the Ravens because you didn't know when Lamar practiced. I don't care who was Shedeur's biggest supporter because people can play and pretend in your face all day long. But that man blew his damn coverage, threw up his hands mid-play, and let his man run into Shedeur. And did you not see him lined up with a trio facing the damn stands after Shedeur said, point this way? Stop being naive and acting like people can't pretend to like you to lure you somewhere. That's the very definition of a con man. Stop being naive. Stop making excuses. You can see Shedeur point out the blitz before it happens. Right. He's telling them where the dude is. That's why that was the first play that people called out because it was so obvious. I don't give a damn who pretended to like him. They are doing just that to get you to have a false sense of confidence so you don't look for us to get away from us. And you know he trusted them because he bothered to tell them, this guy get ready to come hit me, and what did they do? And then he figured out, I got to do this shit on my own. Shedeur had to get his own first down. Stop being naive about this. It's ignorant at this point to sit up and make excuses. And this is why Black people were slaves for 400 years. Well, we don't know them. Maybe they are savages. It was inhumane regardless of who the hell it was. And consider it happened to the Native Americans before. Stop being ignorant. Because when it happened to you, don't call us. People just don't make excuses. Brady would have had linemen cut by the end of the game if they did. Right. So what does that tell you, right? It's important for the league to find the Ravens because they don't know when Lamar coming back. The same Lamar that his own damn defense was protecting the opponent's quarterback. And they lying if they say it didn't. All you got to do is look at the stats and look at the game. That's why people are putting out charts and graphics that are color-coded so you can see how relaxed the defense was in the first half against Cleveland. And when they switched it up to Shedeur, they was full out on intensity. I asked y'all 400 times, who is the defensive coordinator and is he Black? Let me guess. Yes, because he going to be the one. He going to be the one. Whether they went to the players individually, whether they set up smoke signals, he going to be the one. And he'll see that they coming for his job. If I'm setting up Lamar Jackson with his own O-line, and they've been doing that, fans, even Baltimore fans know that. Even Baltimore fans know that's how they got to the bottom of the division. I'm going to take it a step further because ain't nobody say nothing or do nothing. And I'm going to use the Ravens defense to go easy on Dillon, something y'all say happened in the Philadelphia game. And I know I read during the preseason, Philly was going to go with their ones because they want to get ready for the season, but they put in their fours when it was Dillon. This is why they don't have no Black offensive coordinators because they're going to tell. Because you're doing it to Black quarterbacks. So I got all white offensive coordinators so this shit can just be carried out. Okay. Thank you, Amber. I appreciate it. It said these are some wicked. That's it. And you know what? I can't put the last word on the screen, but wicked, pure evil, Klan-like racism. And if you don't, go watch Julian Johnson Law. You want to see how far they're willing to go? Go watch Julian Johnson Law. They will go so far. It's make up shit. Emmett Till. You see how far they went? You see? And that lady admitted she lied. Did she ever go to jail? No. How far they willing to go? Because if you want to sit up and act like this ain't what you're dealing with, this is what you're dealing with. They will go as far as to make up shit. Film saved him, right? Fans saw it. They're like, this kid balled out when he had protection. The O-line just trash. No. The O-line is just not trash, because the O-line was trash last year, wasn't it? When let's see, Deshaun got injured, when Jameis Winston was allowed to look bad, DTR was already benched. The O-line was trash last year. You fired the offensive coordinator, but you went to this draft and got you a defensive tackle. You got Carson Swessinger and you got Mason Grant. That's who you got. You didn't get no O-lineman to protect even Dillon. So they know he disposable. Ragdoll. Jackson Dart too. Because protecting the quarterback position from black quarterbacks ascending to the majority is the point. Therefore, humiliation is the point. Sabotage is the methodology. And the motivation, the motive, racism. They worked to say Shedeur was dumb so bad. Right. That's another thing. What did I just say? They will make up. They lied on this kid and say he couldn't read defenses. We like, excuse us? He don't have no mobility. That's the lie. We just watched him get his own first down. They will make up something. He's a distraction. So they got this girl who's not white running around following him. And when he first gets there, they do send a young white lady out there with some gummy bears to ask him and play a game. How good are your instincts? So they had him out there doing his little drill, looking like a puppet. And they got this girl running around in front of his family. Oh, there you go. You know, I got to keep you out of trouble. Now, that's some crazy sick shit right there. So if I'm following you when you off the clock, so if I'm following you and the game is over and I'm still following you, who had his address? Who knew where he lived at, whether they knew the address or not? If I have somebody following you and the game is over and you in street clothes, what the hell is going on? How far would they go? If I'm following you and you in street clothes talking to your family and I hire somebody, have them on a payroll to run around and they find you in your street clothes talking to your family and say, oh, you know, I got to keep you out of trouble. How far would they go? You see all these examples of shit that don't make no sense? What the hell am I following you for when you off the clock? How far would they go? Maybe I followed you home to see where you live at so I could break in and send you a goddamn message. I mean, you do have somebody on the payroll on camera who maybe she didn't know she was on camera, who proved and said out of her own damn mouth. And fans were upset about that. How far would they go? You know, I got to follow you when you off. Who does that? Nobody. They will make some shit up. Investigation time. Shout out to Lone Wolf. It said, what? What are you saying, Lone Wolf? Why they trying to do what? I don't know what you're saying, boo. Thank you. Say, shout out to you for the $20 super sticker. I appreciate it. This is hard work. This is a lot of hard work because I'll be on point when I do my research and I'm looking. But I will remind you, They got somebody on the payroll following around Shedeur when he off the clock and his house gets broken into. I wonder how many people followed him to his house. I wonder if they put an air tag in his bag. How far will they go? You should know to the extremes. If I'm paying somebody to follow you when you're in street clothes off the clock, has it sunk in yet? So I hope Coach Prime, Bucky, Shiloh, Shedeur, Miss Pilar, they two sisters and everybody else related to them heard this damn podcast and understand just how far they will go, to the extremes. And look at the evidence that's already out there. Look at what they've already done. And don't look away from it. Don't minimize it. Take heed. All right, so I'm gonna get myself out of here. I'll be back, and we'll be back tomorrow. I appreciate the super chats. I appreciate it so much. And hopefully people will understand just how far they will go, to the extremes, and start calling for congressional investigations, start calling for investigations of any kind, whether it's criminality or organizational malpractice, but it's definitely malpractice, into the Cleveland Browns. All right, so that's it. We're going to get out of here. Thank you, everybody. Keep your head on the swivel. If you see something, say something. All right, so we're going to get out of here. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. 250 of us hit the like button. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Turn your notifications on just in case I pop up in the daytime. We are on a Shedeur Sanders watch. Things could pop off at any moment now because he's this close to starting versus the Ravens. Stay tuned. Have a good night, everybody.